Let's get weird into it. Number 10. The Great Electron Heist. Everything in the universe is made of atoms, which are basically tiny, needy social circles. You've got your protons and neutrons huddled in the middle, and then you have the electrons, the edgy friends who hang out on the fringes. These electrons aren't particularly loyal. They're always looking for a better deal, a more attractive place to be. Your body, your clothes, the carpet, the cat. It's all just a chaotic marketplace of trillions of these flighty little particles. Static electricity is what happens when a brazen act of particle theft occurs. Imagine you're shuffling across a carpet in your fuzzy socks. Your socks, being made of a material like wool, are certified electron bullies. As you walk, the soles of your socks are aggressively ripping electrons away from the poor, unsuspecting carpet fibers. The carpet didn't do anything wrong. It was just lying there, minding its own business. But now it's been robbed, and you, or more specifically, your socks, are the getaway vehicle. Each step you take is another tiny, invisible mugging. And all those stolen electrons are now hitching a ride on you. You've become an unwilling accomplice in a microscopic crime spree, accumulating a negative charge like it's a bad habit. Basically, you're a walking, talking monument to subatomic larceny. Number 9. The Triboelectric Effect. Scientists, in their infinite quest to make simple things sound intimidating, gave a name to this electron-stealing process: the Triboelectric Effect. It sounds like something that could power a spaceship, but it just means electricity caused by rubbing. That's it. You rub two different materials together, and one of them, the more electronegative one, yanks electrons from the other. It's the atomic equivalent of giving someone a noogie and stealing their lunch money. There's even a ranked list, called the Triboelectric series, which is essentially a leaderboard for which materials are the biggest electron hogs. On one end, you have materials that are generous to a fault, like glass or your own dry skin. They'll give away their electrons to almost anyone. On the other end, you have the greedy takers, like rubber, silicone, and Teflon. When you drag your rubber-soled shoes across a wool carpet, you're staging a showdown between two high-ranking materials on this list. It's a battle of wills, and the rubber always wins, leaving you crackling with stolen energy. So, when you get a shock, you're not just a victim of random physics. You're the grand finale of a long, dramatic, and frankly very nerdy wrestling match. Number 8. You are a meat capacitor. So, you've committed the Electron Heist. You've shuffled your feet, and now you're loaded with extra jittery electrons. Where do they all go? Well, they spread out all over the surface of your body. Congratulations, you've become a biological capacitor, a squishy, water-filled, poorly designed battery. A capacitor is just something that stores electrical energy, and your body, being mostly a sack of salty water, is surprisingly decent at it. These stolen electrons have nowhere to go, especially if you're wearing insulating shoes like sneakers, which are basically tiny rubber prisons for electricity. You're walking around like a thundercloud in a human suit, carrying an invisible charge of up to 20,000 volts. For comparison, your wall socket is only packing about 120 volts. So why aren't you a pile of ash? Because while the voltage is sky high, the current, the actual number of electrons moving, is pathetically small. It's like being threatened by a chihuahua with a megaphone. All bark, very little bite. But that high voltage is desperate for an escape route, and it's turning you into an anxious, electrically unstable time bomb, just waiting for an excuse to go off. Number 7. The Winter Betrayal. Ever notice how you seem to become a god of static electricity in the winter? You can't touch a doorknob, pet your dog, or even kiss someone without unleashing a tiny bolt of lightning. This isn't your imagination. The weather is actively conspiring against you. The main culprit here is humidity, or the lack thereof. In the summer, the air is thick with water vapor. Water molecules are great at conducting electricity, so as you accumulate any stray electrons, the humid air gently whisks them away from you. The air acts like a universal ground, a bouncer that constantly keeps your personal electrical charge in check. But in winter, the cold air is bone dry. There's very little moisture to help dissipate your charge. Dry air is a fantastic insulator. It's like a maximum security prison for your stolen electrons. They're trapped on your body with no parole in sight. Every step on the carpet, every time you pull off your fleece jacket, you just keep packing more and more charge onto your meat capacitor self. The air refuses to help, leaving you to solve your own high-voltage problem. The first conductive thing you touch, like a metal file cabinet that owes you money, is going to bear the full, concentrated brunt of your pent-up electrical frustration. Number 6. Your fashion choices are a crime. Let's talk about your wardrobe, because chances are you're dressing for electrical failure. Your cozy wool sweater, a champion electron thief. That silky polyester shirt practically begs to have its electrons snatched. And those rubber-soled sneakers you love so much? They're the electrical equivalent of putting your feet in solitary confinement, ensuring no charge can escape to the ground. You might as well be wearing a sign that says, "Please electrocute me at your earliest convenience." When you layer these materials, you create a perfect storm. Pulling a wool sweater over a cotton shirt is like hosting a triboelectric party. The materials rub, electrons jump ship, and you become charged. Getting out of a car with cloth seats is another classic trap. As you slide across the seat, your clothes are scraping off electrons, charging you up right before you reach for the conductive metal door. You think you're just getting out of your car, but from a physics perspective, you're performing a highly efficient, multi-stage ritual for generating a painful shock. So next time you get zapped, don't blame the universe. Blame your pants. Number 5. The Doorknob Ambush. You've done it. You've shuffled. You've dressed poorly, and the air is dry. You are a fully charged, walking weapon of mild inconvenience. You lumber through your home, a silent menace, and then you see it. A shiny, metallic doorknob. That doorknob is electrically neutral. It has a nice, balanced number of protons and electrons, and it's perfectly happy that way. But more importantly, it's a conductor. It's connected to the rest of the house, which is connected to the ground, the great infinite dumping ground for unwanted electrons. Your body, overloaded with a negative charge, is screaming for balance. The electrons on your skin are like passengers on a horribly overcrowded bus, and that doorknob looks like a wide-open exit. As your hand gets closer, the massive voltage difference becomes too much. The electrical potential between your fingertip and the metal is so intense that it literally rips the air apart, ionizing it into a conductive pathway. It's a desperate last-ditch escape. And in that split second, all those pent-up electrons that you've been accumulating for the last 5 minutes rush from your body, through the air, and into the doorknob in a single, glorious, and slightly painful exodus. The doorknob didn't attack you. It just offered a way out, and your electrons took it with the subtlety of a stampede. Number 4. Pocket-sized Zeus. Sometimes, if it's dark enough and the shock is big enough, you can see a tiny blue spark jump between your finger and whatever poor object you're about to zap. Don't just brush this off. You need to give yourself a little credit. For a fraction of a second, you created lightning. Yes, a very, very small and pathetic bolt of lightning, but lightning nonetheless. The physics are identical. A real thundercloud is just a massive version of your body after shuffling on a rug. It builds up a huge static charge, and when the voltage gets high enough, it discharges to the ground in a brilliant flash. Your finger spark is the same deal, just on a much less epic scale. The intense electric field you're projecting is superheating the air in that tiny gap to thousands of degrees, hotter than the surface of the sun for a microsecond. This superheated air glows, and that's the spark you see. It's a miniature atmospheric tantrum, a brief, violent release of energy that signals the end of your reign as a statically charged tyrant. You're not just getting a shock, you're a pocket-sized god of thunder. And your domain is the distance between your hand and the light switch. Number 3. Your nerves are tattletales. So why does this tiny lightning bolt actually hurt? It's not the heat, and it's not the voltage itself. It's the current. Your entire nervous system runs on tiny, precise electrical signals. When you decide to move your arm, your brain sends a little electrical pulse down a nerve to make your muscle contract. It's a very orderly, very controlled system. The sudden chaotic flood of electrons from a static shock is like a bull running through a library. It completely overwhelms your nerve endings. The nerves in your skin, which are designed to detect pressure, pain, and temperature, suddenly get a jolt of raw, unformatted electricity. They don't know what to do with this signal, so they just freak out and send a universal, "Something is very wrong" message straight to your brain. Your brain interprets this panicked screaming from your fingertips as a sharp, pricking pain. It's a purely biological overreaction. The shock itself is harmless, but your nervous system is a sensitive drama queen that treats any unexpected electrical input as a 5-alarm fire. Number 2. The Feline Supervillain. If you have a pet, especially a long-haired cat or dog, you're living with a furry, 4-legged static electricity generator. Animal fur is extremely high on the Triboelectric series, making it exceptionally good at both giving and taking electrons. When you pet your cat in the dry winter air, you are engaging in a masterclass of static generation. Your hand is rubbing against its fur, and a massive exchange of electrons is taking place. Depending on the materials involved, either you're stripping electrons from the cat, or the cat is stripping them from you. The result is that both of you become highly charged. The cat, now a walking ball of static potential, will then go and brush against a metal table leg and get zapped. You, also charged, will go to pet it again. And zap. A spark jumps between your hand and its nose. The poor animal has no idea why touching things suddenly hurts, and you're left feeling like a terrible person. It's not your fault. You and your pet are just unwitting participants in a physics experiment you never signed up for, orchestrated by the dry air and a shared love of cuddles. Number 1. The Strategic Discharge. Okay, so you're tired of being a walking electrical hazard. You want to fight back against the invisible forces of physics. Luckily, you can. The key is to get rid of your charge gradually and painlessly, instead of all at once through your hypersensitive fingertips. This is where you engage in some counter-espionage. The most famous trick is the key method. If you suspect you're charged up, hold a metal key or a coin in your hand and touch that to the doorknob first. The spark will jump from the key, not your finger. You'll see it, you might even hear it, but you won't feel it. Why? Because the charge is flowing from your whole body through the highly conductive metal, not through the tiny, concentrated bundle of nerves in your fingertip. You've diffused the attack. Another pro move is to touch a non-conductive surface first, like a wooden door or a wall. This will bleed off your charge much more slowly and gently, without any shock at all. You're giving the electrons a slow, orderly ramp to exit from, instead of forcing them to make a dramatic, panicked leap for freedom. It's the difference between leaving a party through the front door and jumping out a second-story window. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.